A miraculous rescue of a family of 4 inside a Tesla that careened 250 feet off of a California cliffside has turned into an attempted murder investigation. Dr. Dharmesh A. Patel has been arrested for attempted murder and child abuse in the matter. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
How's it
Welcome
going?
to Wednesday.
Yes, already. This is our Wednesday episode, which also means that we'll be back tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain for our Case Updates live stream
Yes.
event we pull information from every case we're following that has anything new and bring it to you. So there is some stuff in De Belvallo. There's a lot of stuff in Moscow. We're going to do some of that this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of other cases that are really picking up some steam right now.
Yeah, we're sort of back to work, and the legal system is back to work, which means that a lot of things are happening. Everything's slowed through the end of the month, and now
Yep.
back to reality.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how are you? How's it going?
I'm great. I am, every year in January, I decide I'm going to learn something new. I do this every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm learning now is beaded embellishment. I started with their like embroidered iron-on patches, and then
Nice.
I'm beading over top of that with beaded embellishments because
Uh-huh.
I'm a beader. I love to bead, and I always want to learn something new and be doing something different.
Yeah.
And I am really enjoying it a lot.
Oh, cool. I can't wait to see what you're doing. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll be sharing soon. So, and
Awesome.
that's gonna expand into bigger things, I think. But anyway,
Love it.
I'm really just enjoying that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I've had one of those mornings where you go, I don't know if I need to just go back to bed, just leave this house for a minute, or just, I don't know,
In the
go throw
car
rocks
and
into the
drive
river and
away.
scream. Yeah. But I have one little pig and 2 Chihuahua puppies that are just about to go to reform school. Oh my gosh.
Reform school. That's so funny.
Naughtiest stuff this morning. So, yeah. So I'm here with wet hair and a bad attitude because because we have had a morning.
Dang it. I hear
Here we
that.
are. Yeah. Well, let's dive into it. I am going to turn the mic over to you for our first segment, which is Oh, Idaho.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Idaho is finally going to get their shot at Bryan Kohberger. He was in court yesterday. Of course, this is the man accused of the murders in Moscow, Idaho, 4 college students. It happened in November. He was in court in Pennsylvania yesterday, where he did waive extradition, and he left Pennsylvania at 6 a.m. this morning. Travel plans and the way he's being transported, super secret for his protection, but he is on his way to Moscow, Idaho.
Yep.
It's good news. We've all been wanting to see this not move so slowly as some other cases do, and so this is great.
We're really hoping this isn't De Belvallo,
Right. It's much simpler, although I will say that the very first thing they are going to do is a psych evaluation. That has already been stated.
Yeah.
That he will receive a psych evaluation immediately to rule out or in if there are any mental health concerns that need to be addressed here. So wise work, honestly, to make sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
His rights are being protected. As always, that's what we have to do. Here
Definitely.
is, if you are watching, here is a picture of him yesterday in his orangey red jumpsuit. He's handcuffed in the front and being escorted by jail personnel to court. He was very quiet, didn't really speak. According to jail personnel, he's been very quiet and very compliant at the jail. If you hear otherwise, let me tell you, there is a TikToker, and I might just share their profile name if this doesn't stop, who is sharing the most ridiculous misinformation about this case and about Bryan Kohberger, driving me insane.
Mhm.
Please please use trusted sources for your information.
Mhm.
This particular source, no. There's a bunch of crap going around about his behavior in jail, and there's some stuff
Mhm.
going around about a woman who was in a cell across the hall from him. There's a huge red flag because men and women are not housed together.
No.
Nowhere are they housed together. But a bunch of stuff about him being really inappropriate,
Mhm.
sexually inappropriate in
Mhm.
jail. Jailers themselves have said he's been very quiet and very compliant, and I'm going to go with that.
And
So
they said that right before the judge put a gag order on this case.
yes, and we're going to talk about that. Okay, so
Yep.
we have been talking all along about how officials in Moscow need to shut the hell up. They need to stop going on news stations and giving interviews and giving conflicting information. And,
Mhm.
we've heard from law enforcement, we've heard from the mayor, we've heard from the president of the university, and all of the parents in one way or another. It's really been ridiculous. And
Mhm.
clearly, the judge in this case agrees. So, let me show you this. This is, I'm going to read to you what is being restricted. This is, I'll just show you so you can see. This is the order, but you won't be able to read it on here. I'll just read it out loud for you. Um, because the judge is like, y'all got to shut up.
Mhm.
Right after the sheriff gave an interview right after he was arrested.
Mhm.
Like, who's doing that? No one does that. Law enforcement
No.
do not do that. Okay,
No. This
here's
has
the
got
order.
to stop.
Yes, this is a non-dissemination order, and this is in relation to this case, of course. Just looking for who is the judge. Well, I can't remember. Anyway, filed in Latah County, Idaho. This order specifically prohibits any statements which a reasonable person would expect to be disseminated by means of public communication that relates to the following. Number one, evidence regarding the occurrences or transactions involved in this case. I am very afraid we are not going to get to see the arrest warrant and, the
I
evidence
know.
that they gave. Even though the prosecutor said we would, I bet we don't. Uh, Two,
Or we get something that is deeply redacted.
redacted. Yeah, yeah. I bet that probable cause is not going to come to us wide
Yep.
open. Two,
Mhm.
the character, credibility, or criminal record of a party. Three, the performance or results of any examinations or tests, or the refusal of or failure of a party to submit to such tests or
Mhm.
examinations. And let's see, four, any opinion as to the merits of the case or the claims or defense of a party. Five, any other matter reasonably likely to interfere with the fair trial of this case, such as, but not limited to, the existence or contents of any confession, admission, or statement given by the defendant, the possibility of a plea of guilt to the charged offense or a lesser offense, or any opinion as to the defendant's guilt or innocence.
Mhm.
It is further ordered that no person covered by this order shall avoid its proscriptions by actions that indirectly but deliberately cause a violation of this order. Like, don't go tell your cousins so they can tell the world. You can't do that.
Yep.
It is further ordered that this order and all provisions thereof shall remain in full force and effect throughout these proceedings until such time as a verdict has been returned unless modified by this court. Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall. Guess what? The judge is a woman.
Is a woman.
We like to see that. But, we know way too many people talking about way too much stuff. They're all mad about the information going around, but you know what? A lot of it actually came out of officials in Moscow, Idaho.
Yep.
So, not surprising that the judge did this because clearly it needed to be said.
Mhm.
Does mean likely we are not going to be very privy to much
No.
information. What's truly going on.
In that press conference after they arrested Bryan, the way they were like, "We can't tell you yet, but as soon as we get him back to Idaho, we're going to
We're going
unseal
to
this.
tell
We're
you.
going to tell you everything." And I was like, "Oh, it's going to be interesting." But at the same time, you go, mhm, they didn't have the right to say that.
No, they didn't. They really didn't. A few other interesting things to note. Bryan Kohberger and his dad drove from Pennsylvania or from Idaho to Pennsylvania for
Mm-hmm.
when he got done with school for Christmas break. He was pulled over twice.
Yeah.
And there's body cam footage of that. It's
Mm-hmm.
out there, but there are no specifics about what happened, other than I know one of them was for following too closely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sort of interesting.
There's only
Like,
body cam of one. The other one was refused
yeah,
because it's, pending an investigation.
yeah. So that is fairly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more to come, and we'll talk more about more of it later, but I did want to give you those updates. Obviously, he's going to have a hearing in Idaho fairly soon. There has been no ban on cameras in the courtroom, however, so it is very possible that there will be video of his
Sure.
initial court appearance.
There was a ban on cameras in Pennsylvania.
Right,
So if
not
you're
here.
wondering if you'd heard that, that was there. It's not here, at
Right.
least not yet. However,
We'll
the
see.
way this judge is cinching this case down, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that happens.
Yeah. Well, it has so much national attention. And trust me, Little Moscow, Idaho is not used to a lot of national attention at all, just like
No.
our area with the Daybell Vallow case. So
Hmm.
things are going to change over time for sure. But for now, that's what we know. Katie,
All
I'm going to
right.
kick the mic back to you for our main case.
Okay. So on Monday, search and rescue was in Northern California was reporting this amazing, miraculous rescue
Yeah.
of a family that had gone over the side of a really sketchy area in California. This is a cliffside road. It's Highway 1 in California, and it's called Devil's Slide. This is on the San Mateo County coast between Pacifica and Montara.
Mm,
Uh, its name comes from the rocky edges that are so prone to accidents. This is an area that they've really struggled to make safe because it's not possible to put guardrails in a lot of it. They've even put some tunnels in some of the more dangerous areas to try to stave off accidents because there have been so many accidents in this area.
mhm.
So
Oh
this is
boy.
a sense of what it looks like. Yeah,
Yeah.
very rocky
And
cliffs.
not even enough space for guardrails. Wow.
No, there's not, and it goes down to the surf.
Hmm.
Yeah, and to a lot of craggy rocks below. It's a really really dangerous area. Uh, and unfortunately, according to search and rescue, frequently when people do go over the edge there, it is just a recovery mission of their bodies
I can
because nobody
imagine.
survives it. It's a terrible thing. And so they had a call on Monday midday that there had been a car go off a cliff there, a Tesla, a white Tesla, went off the side. The witnesses saw a Tesla go off the side
Hmm.
and they responded basically expecting that they would probably come across something pretty terrible.
Hmm.
Uh, but when they got there and used binoculars to survey the accident, they could see movement in the car and they were really shocked.
I'll bet.
And so some rescuers rappelled down the side of the cliffside. It was a 250-foot drop
Oh.
from the road to uh, a very small spot that the car was kind of lodged in a big rocky bouldery spot right
Hmm.
next to the surf, right next. The surf was
Wow.
literally like crashing up nearly to clear to the car. And so they rappelled down and discovered four people in the car, a family.
Oh.
A dad in the driver's seat, mom in the passenger seat, two children in the back seat that are about 4 and 7 that were in car seats. And those little ones that were buckled into their car seats were uninjured.
That is amazing.
It's amazing. And so
Yeah.
they used a rope and pulley system to pull the children up first to safety. And of course, send everybody to the hospital to make sure they were okay.
Right.
They had to use a helicopter to strap mom and dad onto boards and pull them up out because they were injured.
Sure.
uh, and sent them all to the hospital. And so on Monday, this was a big thing in the news that we rescued these people. They lived. It's an absolute miracle. That's
Yeah.
what That's what the press was calling it, was an absolute miracle. That's what search and rescue was calling it. So here's a few pictures of the crash site. Look at the car.
My God, look at the car.
So the car, they said it flipped over a few times and landed on its wheels.
That's amazing.
Now, talking to my mechanic husband about this, he said that, yeah, see where the car landed?
Wow.
Uh, had the tide been different, who knows? But
Right.
I don't know. But because I don't know what the tide there is like. But at any rate, my husband said that it's probably because they were in a Tesla that they lived,
Mm-hmm.
because it no motor and fuel to blow up. That most
Uh-huh.
cars, by the time they hit the bottom of that cliff, they are going to explode.
Right.
This car did not. He said the battery maybe could have started on fire, but it looks like it didn't. Uh, they tend to be more prone to starting on fire apparently when you're driving them. But anyhow,
Probably not
so
from impact though, so that's good.
yeah, and so it's an amazing thing that they lived through it, but also that they landed on the wheels. But again, because of the way the weight is distributed in a Tesla, if it was a motorized car, the car would have nosedived because that's where the motor's at. That's where the
Right.
heaviness is. So it probably would have nosedived straight down,
Yeah.
maybe landed on its right on the nose or on its top. Anyway, so in this case, it's interesting only because Tesla's kind of gotten a black eye recently for causing accidents with their automatic driving feature.
Right.
When this happened, everybody was like, "Oh, they were probably using automatic." We don't know that that's true. We don't know what happened, right? Okay, so long story short, this miraculous thing happened. Yay, the family's safe. Everything is great until yesterday
Yeah.
when the police announced that they were arresting the father for attempted murder and child abuse.
My God.
They said that they conducted interviews through the night, Monday night, from witnesses. And I'm going to go out on a limb and assume, and this is an assumption, so please know that these are things we don't know quite yet. I'm going to assume that from talking perhaps to the children and to the mother, that they came to this conclusion that he did it on purpose. He ran his whole family off a 250-foot cliff.
And at that place that was very well known for cars going off and people
Mhm.
not surviving. I
Yep.
mean, that would be, if you were planning something like this, that would be the place to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
God, that's awful.
He did it on purpose. Why?
Sick man. Very, very sick man.
Yeah. So we don't know why yet. I would imagine that we learn that at some point. But he has now been taken into custody. He was in the hospital, so they hadn't taken him into custody yet. But Law and Crime this morning is reporting that he is now in custody. So we know just a little bit about the dad. He is a doctor. He's a doctor of radiology at a local hospital. This is There's very little about him, but he is a radiologist in Mission Hills, California, and he's affiliated with the Providence Holy Cross Medical Center. We know that he's in his early 40s. He received his medical degree from Wayne State University of Medicine, and he's been in practice somewhere between 11 and 20 years.
Wow.
Neighbors are absolutely stunned. Neighbors said that they are the sweetest, neatest, kindest little family. They also said that they've just gotten home from vacation where they visited both sets of parents and seemed to be completely fine.
But you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
Nope.
And maybe that meeting those sets of parents on his part was,
Was a
we're
goodbye.
going to go say goodbye.
That's my thought
You
too.
just never know. The the people that seem like they have the very best, most put together lives are often the people that have the least, most put together lives.
Yep.
But they're, fronting.
Yep.
Wow. I'm so
So,
glad they're okay. I'm so
oh
glad
my
that the wife and
gosh.
children are okay. My God.
Oh,
Those
unbelievable.
babies, my hell.
Right? These innocent kids, my hell, what an ordeal for them to go through.
And the mother, my God.
Yeah.
They could have lost their mom. She could have lost both her children. I mean,
Mhm.
Obviously her husband is a jackass and she's lost him, but
Mm-hmm.
she still has her family.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
So the medical center put out a statement. Providence Holy Cross Medical Center is deeply saddened to learn of a traffic incident involving one of our physicians and his family. We are extremely grateful there is no serious injury. We will not respond further as this incident is under investigation. He is
Sure.
already off of their website as of last night.
I would
I
imagine
couldn't
so.
find a whisper of him there.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's pretty much what we know right now. Now, I've noticed lately that sometimes when we report a story, understand that we report what is up to date in the news at this moment.
Right.
More information will come, and we know that, and we'll report on that in our case updates show typically. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we didn't know what we were talking about. It means that that's how the internet works.
Right. If we post a show on a Wednesday and then a bunch of new information comes out the following Friday, that's why this might not line up. And that
Hmm.
is why we do our case updates live stream at 7 p.m. Mountain every week on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
We've seen that people may be struggling a bit with that concept sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But that's why, and that's kind of how it works. This is that's just how it goes, and unfortunately that's the life of reporting news, is that news changes over time. So
Mhm,
we fully expect that at some point an arrest affidavit will surface, hopefully soon, so that we
mhm.
can get a peek at it and understand why they believe that he did it. Because we're just shooting from the hip, believing that likely mom said so.
Right.
Also, I'm assuming that they searched their home and maybe they found something from him that would indicate why he did this. We don't know.
Mhm.
We'll find
Well,
out
and
for
did
sure.
anyone actually see them go over? Did
Yeah.
anybody see, that he just cranked
Yes.
the wheel?
Yep. There were witnesses that saw the car go over that called 911. Yep. And that's
So,
probably part of it too. No
I would
braking,
imagine
no attempting to not go off.
no obstacle in the road or other vehicle causing them to
Right.
veer.
Just a literal, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what we know so far, and we'll certainly keep up to date on it. But so grateful for mom and her children that they are safe and uh, okay,
absolutely.
as okay as they could
Well,
be.
yeah,
Yep. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to kick the mic back over to you for our final segment, and that is a news update.
yeah. Every once in a while, we see someone who has committed heinous crimes do the right thing, if we can call it that. And let's talk about this guy. Has been called an accused serial killer from Mendota, Virginia, and he is now convicted serial killer uh, from Mendota, Virginia. His name is James Michael Wright, and he has just pled guilty to 3 murders that happened in March of 2019. So he was about to
Mm,
trial on these 3 murders. Trial was to begin on January 9th. And he instead, one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because this is what can happen at at a pretrial conference.
mm-hmm,
Talked about this with the Daybell Vallow case. There's a pretrial conference scheduled a week or two before their trial is to begin.
mm-hmm.
That's when plea deals can happen. That's when, and they've probably already been happening in the background, but
Right.
become official. So instead of going to trial for these 3 murders, he has pled guilty to them. He will be sentenced to 3, life sentences, consecutive
Mm-hmm,
life sentences. He murdered Athena Hobson, Elizabeth Van Meter, and Jocelyn Alsop in
mm-hmm,
2019, March of 2019. Um, you know, nothing he can do will ever make it okay. But to have to not go to trial for the families of these women is gold. It really is. Putting families
Absolutely.
through trial is incredibly painful and re-traumatizing and brings everything back up. And the community and the first responders, everyone who was affected, has to go through all of it again in trial.
Yeah.
There's also an extreme amount of expense to the state
Oh, yeah.
for these uh, these trials. So,
Oh, yeah.
and you know, I don't know that he did it for any of those reasons, doubtful, but that is the outcome, is that he is in prison for life. He can't hurt anybody else
Hmm.
out on the street, and the families do not have to be re-traumatized by a trial. So I think it's good news.
Nor does his family have to be
Right.
traumatized by a
Nobody has to
trial.
go through
Yep.
telling that story again,
Yep.
and that is much appreciated.
Yeah. Ugh, how sad. How sad for those families. But yeah,
Yeah.
what a relief. Watching families like the Vallow family going through all of this, this last 2 years of this
Yeah, Kay and
nightmare.
Larry and
Hey, and Larry and even
Colby and
Colby
Annie
and his,
and
yeah, all of them. It really shines. It puts a much more personal look on the families that are so deeply affected by all of this. That
right,
it might just be a podcast for us or a news article for someone else, but these are people that are living this nightmare.
right.
And also watching the Pike County massacre.
Oh God,
Oh,
that was brutal watching
brutal. I
George
can't even
Diamond's
call
trial.
that a belligerent turd circus. It was so much worse,
So
you
much
know?
worse.
And for the families who had to sit through that, my God,
Yeah,
to be spared that, yeah,
it's
that's
huge.
a gift
This.
for sure. Because in sentencing, they'll still have an opportunity to give a victim's impact statement. They'll still get
Hmm.
to have their chance to speak, which is what they need,
Yeah,
not to live through all those details again. So
right.
awesome.
Yeah. So it's good news.
Yeah.
Good news. It's what I wish would happen with every one of these. If you knew you were guilty,
Hmm.
I absolutely think people should have a fair trial. And if they believe they're innocent, definitely.
Yeah.
But in a case like this, where there's really no question,
Yeah.
it's the best thing for everybody.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Alrighty. Well, that's it. That is our Wednesday episode. We'll be back tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, right here on this channel and on YouTube or here on YouTube and on Facebook, sorry, for YouTube and on YouTube.
Also, YouTube.
YouTube
Hmm.
updates. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot going on. So
Hmm.
also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you're so called, go check us out on Patreon. Our
Hmm.
Patreon gets 2 extra episodes every month, and it's a way for us to, help keep the lights on around here. And we really, really appreciate your efforts.
Hmm.
And lastly, if we ever do an episode that touches your heart in a certain way, and you would like to give us a tip, right here in our show notes, you can find a link for our Buy Me a Coffee account, and you
Hmm.
can do so if you're called. No pressure
Just
whatsoever.
go to
But
our website, truecrimesquad.com. There's a couple of ways to tip us. That's something that people have asked us for. And,
mhm,
you know, we're always good with people helping us out. So we have obliged.
absolutely. Well, guys, go do something good for yourself. Take care of yourselves. You sure do deserve it. This has
Hmm.
been yet another production of the True Crime Squad. Take care.
Bye, everybody.